welcome back to the channel. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to what I will call a true trailblazer in the world of online business management. So meet Oyin Malomo. So Oyin holds the prestigious title of being our very first accredited OBM from Nigeria, which is amazing. But I think what's even more interesting about you, Oyin, is that your background is in physics and electronics, which is amazing. And I'm sure adds such a unique dimension to the work that you do as an OBM. So I definitely can't wait to get into it. Now, when I met you, Oyin, back, I feel like it was 2022. Could it have been 2021? So it was a few years ago. You were working as a VA. Throughout your journey becoming accredited, we really transitioned and we worked together to get you working with OBM clients, which you have successfully made the transition. And I'm just really excited to catch up. I cannot wait to dive into your journey, being accredited and living in this crazy region that we both live in. You're in Nigeria, I'm in Israel. And I always say to people, I'm like, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter what your background is, what your economics are. You can make this work for yourself. Oyin, tell me a little bit about what life is like, in Africa.
Okay. Firstly, my clients are just always amazing. I don't know how come, but I just always
I
get
think
the
it's
right
because
client.
you are amazing, Oyin, and you attract like-minded, amazing people in your world.
Yeah. Let me take the credit for that. So, and yes, in OBM school, you also helped us to understand the right type of clients. Right. So I already know that this client is not a good fit even before I go on the call. Right. And me saying that now, it sounds, am I really the one saying that? Because where I was coming from before OBM school, if I had managed to just get someone on my calendar, I don't even mind if the client is the worst. I would be glad to work with the person because I was like,
Diversity mindset, not where we want to be at.
So now I'm like, okay,
Flash
even if I
forward,
do not
yes.
have any clients to work with, I know I'll be fine because I just need the right people that won't stress me. Right? So having clients, most of my clients are in the US. It feels like
Oh, really?
everybody's just in the US.
There's so many people in the US, yeah.
Yes. And, balancing all of that and making them understand that, the time zone is not a barrier because I've been able to manage, the way I work. And I've kind of adjusted to working in the US time zone. And also, most times I get to do the work even before they are awake. Right.
Yes.
So that alone is like a major, selling points for me.
Yeah, I have to just reiterate this. Hey, for those of you guys listening, being in a different time zone is actually a benefit. And for those of you listening who are looking to hire an OBM, wouldn't you want to wake up and have the work done? I know I would. I love that. So how many clients are on your roster right now?
Currently 4.
Oh, wow. That's great. So when we hooked up back when you had one VA client, do you still have that VA client?
No.
So they're all OBM clients.
Well, majorly.
Yeah.
Majorly OBM clients. When you have one OBM client, it's easier for you to get other OBM clients because when they refer you to other OBM clients,
Oh,
they
and
refer
you are
you
just,
as this is.
we're full of the gems today.
Yeah, so it's easier, but when you're stuck with a VA client, even if you get referrals, it's going to be a VA referral kind of
Right.
referral. So it doesn't just match up.
That's so
So
important. It's so
majorly
important to highlight that because it's very true. When you are, we have that referral happening. It's so important, client referrals. And when they're all coming and they're from your VA client who is telling their friends about your awesome VA services, you're just going to have more of that. So I love that you have more OBM referrals coming through word of mouth. That's fantastic. So what kinds of things do you do with your OBM clients?
majorly project management and launch management because I love
Nice.
launches.
I know you do.
So majorly project and launch.
I'm laughing because I remember, I don't think it was intimidating for you at the beginning because you are quite an accomplished, you've got your academic background and you are fierce. But what is it like just being fully all into the OBM? Like, how is that different from how life was as a VA?
Okay, at first, truly it was scary.
Yeah.
I did not even think this far, really. I didn't think it was going to, explode or blow up or become something bigger. But I just had the fear that, okay, this, what I'm thinking of might be too much, but at least let me get something a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does.
Right. So it was at first it was scary and getting to the point where you're like, okay, physics and coming to the online space, it felt different. If you're working in the online space, one, most people don't even understand what you're doing. You need to explain it fully. So most people just assume that if you're working from home, like you're just working from the comfort of your house, then you must be doing fraud or something because
So true.
because how do you want to make that happen just from home, right? So there's still a lot of bias. There's still a lot of communication gap. I just knew that I wanted something different. There's no government to help you, sort you out one way or the other. So you just you just had to, give it your best. And most times when you study physics, yeah, maybe you just be in a school
Yeah, I mean, well, a
at the end of the
Bachelor of
day.
Science is something
Yeah.
really amazing. I think it's so important to finish things and
Mhm.
I think to a degree, we're all always learning, so I feel you on that. I love going to school and getting all the things, but it's so interesting because physics is like different, but not because, when I think of physics, I'm thinking like formulas and systems and, things being very almost rigid in a way. How did you even know about the online space? How did you marry those two skills? And aside from just being like a dedicated learner and having the growth mindset and having the confidence to know that you can
Mhm.
do it, were there other
Yeah.
things?
The funny thing is, the current OBM clients I have now, which is actually the best, they have an astrology school and it's a very
Oh,
big school.
wow.
So, she was like, oh, this is like a very big business and it's not like the usual small businesses. And I was like, oh, I can do it. And sincerely, I've never worked with a business that big, but I was like, oh, I can do it. It's no big deal. And what actually made us connect better was the fact that I studied physics and she
Really?
also studied quantum physics. She's the CEO of the business, not the founder, though. And I'm like, who would have thought
Who would have thought?
that physics, right? So, and that was like the point where she was like, oh, really? And I'm sure that that was one major,
One major,
one major thing she took out from
yeah,
things
because the
together.
stars aligned, no pun
Yeah.
intended.
Yeah.
I love that though. That's
Right.
so important because I think, we always say in OBM school, like you need to like connect, not emotionally, but there has to be like a connection. There has to be a good, solid partnership as an OBM. And it feels like, you've really got that down. How many people are on that team?
Okay. They have about 12 to 15 core
Wow.
team members, but they have about 50 mentors
Oh, wow.
for
50
the
mentors.
classes. Yeah. So it's actually a really, really big business, complicated business. And good thing is, I started working with them and I've only been an OBM for a year, really, just a year. And recently the CEO was just telling me, oh, do you still have availability? I have some other businesses I work with. And I'm like, oh, really? Am I doing such a great job?
Oh,
It's
Oyen, that's
exciting.
wonderful. I love that
Yeah.
because I cannot say I'm surprised in any way, shape, or form. I saw your projects in OBM accreditation. I marked those projects. I know what you're capable of. So I'm just glad that you're in a position now where you have what feels like solid security with your clients. And this is interesting because you've got 4 clients on your roster. And do you have room for more clients or are you at your cap? Because I know you have other things going on.
Yes. Well, I'm also thinking of expanding. I'm thinking of bringing on more people, to the team. Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that, but I was like, should I bring this up? Because I know
Yeah, yeah.
we talked about it a while ago, and I told you about my
Mhm.
experience here in Israel, hiring and building a team here. And I think you have so much opportunity in Nigeria with employees and local people. And I know that you do so much good work in Nigeria for your community. So for those of you listening here, probably heard me talk a lot about our why and why it's so important to be in tune with, the flexibility, the meaning, and everything you get out of really being an OBM. So what does that really look like for you?
Yes. So for me, I think my major why would be creating that possibility that it's possible to do great things from a very small place, right? So knowing that it doesn't matter where you're from, your background, your ideologies, your mindsets, as long as you know that you want more for yourself, you can actually make it happen for yourself. So that's my major drive, making, other people understand that you don't have to follow the norm. Most
Mhm.
people, like as a lady in Nigeria, most times you go to school, if you're lucky enough, not even everyone
Yes,
goes to school.
right.
You go to school, you graduate, and if you're lucky enough, you might find a man who just wants to marry you and keep you in the house and take care of you.
Does that
Right.
exist these
Uh,
days? I don't think
eh,
so. I don't know. And I don't know if
oh,
I
well,
want that also.
yeah, but it still exists, right? And people are like, oh, now, I just got married and now I just have children. I don't have time. I
Right.
just need to take care of my children, but it feels like I've lost myself and all of that. So understanding that, oh, okay, you have the children, you're busy with chores, but you still need to make meaning out of your life. You can do something from home, right? So just exposing that, okay, there's so much more out there outside the Nigeria and what you're used to. And this also allows me go to, secondary schools and, just talk
Yes.
to them, because a lot of children are just on the streets, a lot of children are fending for themselves through school. I mean, it's crazy out there. So just understanding that you can do more, and it doesn't matter if you have anyone supporting you. You can do something for yourself. That's my major drive.
That's incredible because, when you're going into schools and you're talking to these secondary school kids and specifically the
Mhm.
girls and being this shiny example of a leader of a successful woman who has done it on her own
Mm.
accord, that must be so inspiring for the students. And that must bring so much back to you being able to, in a way, pay it forward, right? Like
Yeah.
you've been in a situation and you've created I always feel like it's about creating opportunity for ourselves. You're put in certain situations where you can be opportunistic and you can
Mhm.
make it work. You are definitely a shining example of somebody who has been able to do that for themselves. And the fact that you can go and inspire kids to know that, we don't have to follow this rigid, whether you're going to become a mom with kids or
Yeah.
continue on for secondary school and then, whatever. But I think it's so important to give it
Yeah.
back
It
and
is.
have that dimension too. So you do a
Mhm.
lot of charity work in Nigeria. I know that you do a lot of leadership work with other women in Nigeria. What does that look like?
Basically, it's just, most times I help people as much as possible, just walk them through getting their first clients, even if it's
Right.
just a VA client. Oh, this is some free courses you can do. Just go here on YouTube, see this course. These are the courses you can start with. Start with this. And you've also made us understand, oh, these are the places to network, these are the things to do. Okay, so you can network here. And just walking them through that process, that step of at least getting their first clients, because when you get the first clients, it's
Yeah,
easier from there.
I call it
So
losing the client virginity. Yes,
yeah,
because it really
that's right.
it really changes. I mean, it's sort of like there's this mindset shift for people when they get their first client because I really believe that people make themselves think that they're never going to get a client, which I mean, we all
Mm,
felt like that. Like I'm sure you
yeah.
felt like that. I know I felt like
Yes.
that. And we can all chuckle and laugh now, but the struggle is real. And when you
Mm.
still have your client virginity, you don't know what it's like. So,
Yeah.
and once you lose it and you get that first client, then you're like, okay, so this wasn't so scary. And now I have a whole other slew of problems because usually 9 times out of 10, that client might not be an ideal fit.
Yes.
Because you haven't vetted them properly or you've come from a scarcity mindset. I mean,
Mhm,
we all
mm.
make mistakes, but I'm
Yeah.
glad. And again, it sort of paints this wonderful picture. So it's really great that you're able to lead other women and encourage them and show them places to network. And I would love to hear, for maybe for some of those who are listening here and they're in our neck of the woods, Oyin, and they're thinking to themselves, well, how on earth do you network from Africa and the Middle East? Like, how do we do it? So how have you been doing it?
Okay, I basically just sell myself as much as possible and sell myself in the right places,
Yes.
without even sounding salesy, right?
Right.
Maybe someone needs something, and I'm like, "Oh, this is the way to go." I'm not even telling you that I can be the only one to do it for you, but just saying, "Oh, this is the first step you need to take to make this happen." And I'm sure the person is like, "Okay, who is this person?" And from there, "Oh, this sounds good. Yes, I know it sounds good and it helps. I helped a client, make this happen, blah, blah, blah." Just,
Essentially providing help to these
yes,
people, and they're not going to like necessarily jump on the bandwagon to work with you tomorrow, but over time they're like, oh, wait a second, Oyen is like the helpful OBM who always comes to my rescue. Maybe she'll know how to help me build my membership site. And then they're the first person, you're
yeah,
the first person they call.
it's fun. And, most times it's just reaching out to people without necessarily having the intention of, "Oh, I just want to make money from this person."
Yes,
When
totally.
you look at it from, "I really, really just want to help you. I really want to help you, get through this." I mean, if we approach it that way, it's different. It's friendlier. So
Yeah, and I think that it's more genuine too, and I think
yes.
that's why you
Mhm,
have managed to get really solid clients who not only, love working with you and respect you and, all the things that we really want from our clients that we don't
mhm.
always get, but they refer you to people. That's
Yeah.
huge, and that's to me, that's like a green light to start growing your team, which
Mhm.
is lovely. I mean, that's just, the next iteration, I think, of OBM-ness is
Yeah, I just
having a
need to
team.
build a structure around it, and just to make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
definitely.
I know there might be some hiccups, but at
Yeah.
least just
Well,
to,
you've got team growth formula inside the accreditation still, and so you've got a lot
yeah,
of
that's true.
a lot of resources there. I always say, start with your recurring tasks. Do a recurring task
Yeah.
audit on yourself, and that will tell you
Mhm,
those first few tasks that you need to delegate. So
mhm.
I want to sort of circle back to some of these transferable skills because again, you come from a very interesting background. You have the physics, you have the
Mm,
electronics. How do those things really marry over for you? Like from a skills perspective, because I want to scream from the rooftops that, most of the skills that we have to be an OBM are like already inside of us. Help me like explain this to people. Like how did that feel for you specifically? Because I know that those clients did have that in common with you and she happened to be a
mm.
quantum physics person herself, but how does that really like
Okay.
operational wise, even like the online space?
Mhm. I think the first thing is physics has just helped me to understand numbers and
Mm.
love numbers. So and and without those numbers, numbers don't lie. Without those
Oh, they don't.
numbers, the lunches are just whack. When there's no one,
Metrics. Yes.
yes.
Metrics.
So yeah. So a client of mine was talking with me and she was like, "Oh, we've been looking at the numbers before I joined the team, and it's like nobody has just ever gotten it right. Can you jump on this?" And I was like, "Oh, why not?" And it's fun to me, but it feels like everybody who has ever tried it, made mistakes and everything was not just adding up and all of that. So when I started, it's like okay, you are doing great at this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, physics is playing a role here. So it's just, it has really helped me with my launch management, understanding the metrics, understanding the numbers, understanding what we should be looking out for and all of that. And that's what's, most of the times determine how well we are growing.
Mhm.
So for me, that is one big part of how I've been able to,
I love that because, Toby, who's our OBM at OBM School,
I
we
love to.
laugh about how we're not numbers people. But I actually love metrics because I feel like the numbers don't lie, guys. And so I think a lot about why it's very difficult for somebody coming into someone's business, why it's so difficult to like extract the numbers. And I think a lot of the times the entrepreneur themselves is maybe not so clear on their goals or what they're measuring. So I think that's the other thing, Oyen, that I really want to
Mhm.
highlight here is that, you have this, I think, innate entrepreneurial quality that I saw in you even the first time we spoke. And I feel like the first time we spoke, you were a little bit more timid, a little bit more reserved. Like you seem very like, radiating in a way, which it makes me like warm and tingly inside. I love it. But were
Thank
you
you.
always like, did you always have that entrepreneurial, like, did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Because you have that. I
Mm,
feel like it's not just the numbers, it's also being able to marry it with that soft skill of like being able to lead the client and sort of not control the situation, but like extract the goals, extract
mm,
what the real meaning. And I think that's why like you're so great at launch because you actually can see that big picture. And to me, that's a very entrepreneurial quality that, dare I say, because I always say that anyone can be an OBM, and I do still really firmly stand on that ground. But I think if you have that big picture vision and you can sort of see it for yourself and see it for others, like, have you always
mm.
been like that?
That's tricky because now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it's just always been there, right?
Yes.
But in the online space, I noticed that most people that I tend to work with are older, more
Mhm.
experienced. So it's more like makes me want to draw back a bit and like, okay, do I really know what I'm talking about? Because these guys are more experienced and all of that. So I think it has always been there,
Mhm.
right? Just,
Under
being
the
that person that,
surface.
yes. And it's been a journey of just growing, understanding what I can do, understanding the possibilities, and understanding that, okay, it's not about the age, it's not about the experience, it's about what I know and what I can, the value I can offer. So I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm even. I think it has always been there, but I've not just made the most use of it. I did not. I'd never seen myself as someone who would start a business. I think I would always see myself as someone who would join a team and grow with in that particular career
Yeah, be happy
and
being a team player. Yeah.
yeah, yes, but even when I joined OBM school, I wasn't thinking, oh, I wanted to start a business.
Really? Really? Well, what were you thinking? You wanted to
No, I
work as an
wasn't.
OBM in someone else's agency?
I was thinking, okay, it's just project management and just work with a company as a project manager.
Oh, no, no, I had bigger plans
Really,
for you.
I did not
It's
even
like, no,
think.
no way. Now the
I
sky's the
did not
limit.
even think. No.
No, no, we want our own freedom and flexibility to make our own schedule.
Yeah.
So what does that look
Mm.
like for you? Like, what is some big freedom piece that you have on your plate? It's 2024. Like, what's like a goal for this year for you personally to like enjoy this business you've created? You worked so hard in OBM school. Like, your projects were amazing. You showed up.
Yeah.
I know you had like a great group, a great accountability group. What's on the horizon for this year for you?
For me, I think the major thing is, having the freedom to show up for the people that I love most and
Yes.
be there for them just when they need me. So that's one. And I've been ringing it in the years of my husband that, okay, this year I just need to travel more. So
Yes.
I really want to, travel more this year and just
Where are you going to go?
enjoy.
You're going to come visit me over here in Tel Aviv?
Ah!
Maybe not this
Not
year.
sure yet, but yes, not this year. But I just really want to, travel more and just to really enjoy, the
The
work
things that
I've
you've built, the hard work
yeah,
you've put
yeah,
in. You've put in hard work.
yeah. So
I love
I
that.
think this year I just really want to relax and grow a team, yeah, so that I can have more time for myself.
So life is very different since becoming accredited, but I also, don't want to take away the fact that you're amazing just on your own with or without the accreditation. You would have been on this
Yeah.
incredible path of just, yeah, being a leader for your community, because I think that is the best thing that we can do as women is just show others that there are other opportunities. So for anyone who's maybe listening and thinking to themselves, oh, I want to join OBM school, or I want to be accredited. I don't know if I'm capable, and sort of, the self-doubt that we all face.
Mhm.
What would you say to somebody who's thinking, am I really gonna have a return on investment? Is this really, when you joined, you weren't even thinking about the entrepreneur quality.
Mhm.
So if you could sort of say something to that person before becoming accredited and before joining OBM school, what would you say to that Oyin, a couple of years ago, Oyin?
Okay, so what I would say is you never know what just one decision can do for you, and that's one decision can change your life entirely. I mean, where I am now, I did not see that 2 years ago, right? It's a journey, and there are just some steps you just need to take, right? So there's a difference when you're accredited, and there's a difference when you are just like every other person. So if I want to charge now, I would have more confidence to charge differently.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now I can charge 3 times, 5 times, even 10 times
Right.
what I was charging, before I got accredited.
So
And
would you
that
say now
makes
that
a
your
whole
sort of
lot
your
of
income is like how different from how it was before without giving me the numbers, what does that transformation really look like for you? Is it because that's a huge difference. If you're making 3 or 4 times more than you were making
Mhm.
before, that's life changing. And that's what I want, how I want to help women. I want to help them have that financial freedom and flexibility.
It's just life changing, really. And if I look at the numbers, I would say it's like maybe 10 times more.
Wow. Wow.
And I'm doing, lesser work than what I would do.
That just
Lesser work than what I would do
that makes me
before.
so
And
excited.
yeah, it just feels like, okay, now I'm doing lesser and I'm getting paid for,
I love
right?
it because you're working less hours, but for your
Mhm.
clients as an OBM, as someone who's managing the metrics, managing the launch, you're doing so much more for your clients, even though you're working
Yes.
less hours. Like it's very,
Mhm.
so like let's be
Mhm.
clear about it. It's like you're very focused on managing the parts and pieces of the launch and the metrics. So higher value. I think it's the byproduct of the school. And I think just like the incredible women that are, and some men, but mostly women who are sort of attracted to
Mhm.
OBM school are really coming at it from a place of like warmth and love and support for one another. And I know that
Mhm.
you've really had a great experience with the others in the program because we're all the same, we're all
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter what walk of life you are from or where you are in this world. It's just such an inclusive, open, incredible community.
Yes. And you know what? The community actually is what the entire price
Yeah, exactly.
of the OBM
But it's
school
like,
is.
I know, I feel like that too. I mean, it's just great, but it's true. I
Yes.
mean, it's hard, I think, for a lot of us to find community because, like there's
Mm,
life and family and all these things that we're juggling and balancing. And so it's really important for me to see that the students who go through OBM school and through our accreditation program, because it is so intensive, really walk out with like, you know, business besties for life and just a community of women that you can always kind of lean on for support
mhm.
because, being an entrepreneur has its ups and downs. But I'm
Yeah.
so glad, Oyen, that you have, stuck it out and built this incredible business for yourself that you can really
Thank you.
use as a shining example for what truly is possible. And I just I saw it in you from the beginning, and I will say it here for all of you, those of you listening and watching, is like Oyin is the top-notch OBM. If you are even thinking about hiring an OBM, get in touch with Oyin. Oyin, how can they find you?
Oh, everything is on my website.
Yeah.
Like that's like my small pretty home. So we'll link it to the show notes,
Yeah, we'll
and
link it in the
you
show
can just
notes.
always book a
But it's
call with me.
oyinmalomo.com, right?
Yes,
Yes. So we'll
oyimalamo.com.
link that for
Mhm,
sure in the show notes so that
mhm.
you guys can get in touch. You can also find Oyin on our accredited OBM directory over at
Yep.
obmschool.com/directory. And thank you, Oyin, for spending time with me here today, for hopefully
Yeah.
inspiring somebody to step out of their comfort zone. Day in the life of an online business manager. I so appreciate you and wishing you all the best and all the
Thank you,
success.
Sarah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sarah. I mean it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I remember the first call we had, and I booked a call with you, and
Remember it.
I was just like you said, I was just very timid, and you were like, "Oh, so how much or what's your rate?" And I told you my rate, and you were shocked. And but to me, it was like, okay, I mean, it's fine. Most people just want someone in Nigeria because they'll get cheaper labor.
Right. I remember you
I mean,
saying that.
it's yeah. I mean, I was like, oh, it's not so bad, but and the whole mindset shift, and
Yes.
just letting me know that no, 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 it's not about where you are. It's about what you have to offer, and
Right.
that alone changed, my orientation in the online space. So thank you. And
I
thank you
really
for OBM
appreciate
School.
that because that really warms me right up inside because that is why I do what I do. So, I mean,
Yeah.
even if I can change one woman's life and, the trajectory of your family and your financial stability and also just being able to rely on yourself,
Hmm.
done my job. So thank you, Oyen,
Great.
for giving me
Thank you
that
too.
feedback because that's why I do what I do. So I so appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
So get in touch with Oyen if you're looking for an OBM. And if you want to join us
Yeah,
inside of accreditation, head on over to
please do.
obmaccreditation.com and check out the program, the digital credentials, and all that good stuff. And if you enjoyed this video, we're going to link below for our Day in the Life of an OBM playlist. So you guys have lots of videos of wonderful women like Oyen who have gone through our programs and just really highlight the amazing things they do as entrepreneurs and as online business managers. So thank you, Oyen, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Take
It's been
care.
it's been a pleasure.
It has
Thank
been.
you.
Thank you, Oyen.